Hello, guys. Welcome to this new edition of Mind Podcast. This is Aadit Kapadia, and together I'm coming to you on a very special day. We're going to talk about the World T20 champions India. We're going to have an insider's view of what happened in Barbados. And together with me, joining is a good friend, the man behind Cricket Huddle, and a fantastic podcast, Rugved Damle. Hi, Rugved. How are you doing?
What's up? What's up?
Oh my God, dude. So Rugved, I have to tell you, he was at Barbados, he was at the stadium, at the field, and that's why he's going to give us an insider's view. But इतना खुश हो गया कि he came to Houston and got Tropical Storm Beryl with him from Barbados. So
And
you might be
I just
the
didn't get the storm. I got the storm, and I got the city closed down as well because in
हाँ मतलब हाँ
Barbados,
नहीं upgrade करवा दिया storm से now it's a hurricane. So
yeah, there you go. Category 3
हाँ
का कुछ तो लाना चाहिए रे वहां से.
हाँ कुछ तो लाना चाहिए. Goodness gracious, that's absolutely crazy. But how are you, Rugved? How's the Josh, for the want of a better
I
word?
I mean, the Josh has been high ever since I came because
Correct.
what all of us experienced as
हाँ.
Indians was just something so special. And
Hmm.
being there, it was just plain luck, right? It
Hmm.
so happened that
Hmm.
the Indian team, um, they did what they did. I mean, I don't know
Mhm.
when was the last time a final went that close, right? So it was
Mhm.
like just so special just to be part of that occasion.
Absolutely. And so, you know, let me ask you something. Do you have? I mean, what initial? Dekho, we will talk about all the insider stories, everything. But your first reaction when Surya Kumar Yadav caught that bloody catch? Because you have to tell me from a vantage point what was it, and then we'll talk about the whole final. And by the way, if you're a cricket fan and if you don't know what we're talking about, तो डूब मरो पहले तो. मतलब what the hell. It's one of the greatest finals probably ever played in the World T20 World Cup. And I'm not saying just because I'm an India fan. Truly किसी को पता नहीं चल रहा था what was happening till the last three balls. It was a definition of
Yeah.
an outstanding cricket match. So first, actually, Surya Kumar nahi, first start with when Klaasen was hitting and South
Okay.
Africa needs 30 of 30, and then what changed, and then Surya Kumar Yadav, and talk our viewers through it.
So, because I was part of the media through Cricket Huddle, I was like right behind the wicket. So I could actually see everything that was going on right in front of me. And when Clarkson and De Kock were batting, I'll be very honest, I was tensed because I was like, यार ये जा रहा है मैच अभी. This match is not really heading anywhere just because they were so positive. Even Tristan Stubbs, they were so positive, and everyone in the media box as well, they kept talking to each other saying Kohli should have batted a little aggressively, he should have been a little more positive. जैसा कोहली हमेशा यूज करता था ना, इंटेंट, थोड़ा इंटेंट और थोड़ा कम पड़ गया because when Kohli started hitting, which was in the 17th over, everyone thought he should have started from the 15th, right? So the atmosphere or the air was a little tensed. I'll not lie about it, and I was the same. But there were a couple of people. There was one guy who experienced journalist. I was talking to him as sitting right next to him. He's like, "Bring in Bumrah, and the game will change." And Rohit brought in Bumrah, and I'm not kidding. That first ball that he bowled, um, it was just so good that now we've got a match on, right? Because otherwise, the way everything was going, be it Klassen, be it Decock, and that Stubbs, it was just looking like cruise control, right?
Mhm.
So I remember Hardik Pandya, right, was about to bowl because Akshar had got hit for 22 runs before that over, right? And they brought in Bumrah, and Bumrah didn't take a wicket initially, but he considered only 2 runs, if I'm not wrong, 2 or 4 runs, if I'm not sure, in that over. So it was very clear watching the South Africans that they are going to be very tentative going from here. They are not going to hit anything to Bumrah. Everyone knew that. So if you actually think about it, 30 बॉल बाकी है, उसमें के 12 बॉल बुमराह के. That's a lot of balls, man. That's a lot of balls. So everyone was sure कि बुमराह तो ठीक है. But what was surprising was जो हार्दिक ने bowling to the plan किया है, Everyone was surprised because that
Mm.
wicket of Hassan, uh,
Mm.
it would not have happened had it not been for Hardik, because he bowled that outside the off stump,
And
because he was not.
and
And I remember Ashwin in one of the interviews, right? Against good batsmen, you have to ball the worst ball that you can bowl, right? And Hardik's ball, it was like, it was such a weird pace, right? It was like 112 or 115, and like you could not do anything with that ball
no,
instead of just.
and Rishabh Pant went down at the perfect time. Kabhi kabhi strategic timeouts help. See, India knows IPL खेल खेल के उनको the value of strategic timeouts they know. And this is a true strategic timeout.
Yeah, yeah. The momentum changed, man. The moment, and when Clarkson was out, Abhi game on it. Now game is on, because the guy who's gonna come next was Miller and Janssen, if I'm not wrong, right? So, and then you know what happened with Bumrah and Janssen, right? That ball was just too good for him, just too good. He couldn't do anything. In fact, I think the ball of the tournament to me was the ball he bowled to Riza Hendricks in the first Bumrah over, because I think he was not playing any good shots. He was like, throughout the tournament, he had a bad tournament. Riza Hendricks, the opener of South Africa,
Yeah.
when he bowled that ball, I'm pretty sure he must have said, "भाई ये ball पे मैं out हो गया, आप लोग फालतू ball पे out हो गए. I was out on a very good ball, so don't blame me for anything."
No, and so someone I read an analysis where they said that Jasprit Bumrah bowled two similar deliveries, one to Hendricks, one to Janssen. One swings away and hits the top of off, one swings in with the angle and hits leg. How the hell do you play them? And the question
So
is, you can't.
I'll tell you one thing, okay? Because I not just watched the Barbados final, I watched the first leg, which was happening in New York. So I watched the New York leg entirely, watched all games of India, semis and finals. That's what I was part of. But in that second match, which was against Pakistan, Bumrah had come for a press conference. Okay. And when I talked to, like, when I saw him the first instant, Bumrah looks like a shorter guy amongst Arshdeep, amongst Akshar. But dude, that guy's a bull. Okay. He's so muscular. He's like so heavily built that I was surprised. I was like, the kind of strength that he's bringing, the power he's generating, that's because of that. He's really worked on himself, to bring it to that accuracy and, that level where he literally can control the game on his own.
So okay, let's go back then go to the Surya Kumar Yadav catch, right? I mean, how was the first of all? There are a few idiots on the Pakistani YouTube space who are saying the boundary hata diya, ye wo. Did any of that happen? And how rubbish is that conspiracy theory? So, wo aap can deny kari do abhi.
I'll talk to you about Surya Kumar Yadav first catch, and then I'll talk to you about this claim, because I was sitting with a bunch of Pakistani guys in the media box. What happened was 19th over was done, 1 over 16 needed. And I actually went down. I was not sitting in the box because I was like, I want to enjoy this last over, whatever may happen, right? To it. So if you see, I'm right behind Rohit Sharma. Where Rohit Sharma is standing, then there is a side screen, and then there is Surya, right? So when he hit the ball, because of the side screen, I actually could not see anything because it went so high. It was like 100% six jara. But then I saw Rohit raising his hands up. Okay. And that's when it happened. Oh my God, this guy has just managed to like pluck it from thin air,
Thinner.
literally.
Hmm,
And
hmm,
I could not see how exactly he did it. But once
hmm,
I saw it afterwards,
hmm,
I mean, I think just for the context that the game was, probably the catch of the century in T20 World Cups, because
hmm,
he literally changed the match from that catch, right?
hmm.
There have been better catches for sure, but if you look at the context, right, in which the match was played, with that moment, David Miller, heart, he was like striking the ball quite well. It was
No,
just
no,
something
and
like,
it was a like, as much as Hardik kept his cool under pressure, that was a pretty rubbish ball, right? It was a
yeah,
full toss outside off stump, and Hardik bowled two of them very bad ones in that over. That to him and one to Kagiso Rabada.
yeah,
If those goes, if that ball goes for six, it's 10 of 5.
Yeah,
Miller on strike. I am actually backing South Africa to win that then, because Miller.
yeah.
I mean, in IPL I watch Gujarat Titans. I follow Gujarat Titans. He has done this so many times in the last 3 years for Gujarat that you just felt like that was happening, and the boundaries were not very big. From the angle with which he was bowling, right? So, and anyways, once Miller is in the mode, no boundary is big enough. But the fact, and I tell this to a lot of Pakistani friends, right? If I 30, the real question you should be asking is how the hell did it become 30 of 30 to 16 of 6? When Bumrah has 12 balls and you scored 8 runs of 12 balls of Bumrah, right? So that reduces to 22 of 18.
For
You should
2018.
yeah, you should still win the damn game.
Yeah,
Arshdeep and Hardik have 2 overs, 3 overs essentially between them. If you cannot score 22 of those 3 overs, you don't deserve to win the final. And I don't think South Africa choked as much as India bowled well.
I think it was bad decision making because if you look at Arshdeep's over, actually David Miller was on strike. So he gave strike to this guy, Keshav Maharaj. And Keshav Maharaj actually took 2 or 3 balls in that. He wasted 2, 3 balls in Arshdeep's over, which again, I
It
mean,
was
those are
22
margins,
of
right?
it was 22 of 12 again and went down to
Exactly.
16 of 6. It should have been like,
Exactly.
if Miller is on strike and it takes 8 or 9 of these overs, then he doesn't even try to hit the first ball for 6. Then he is trying to do something else.
And if you think about it, right, Hardik actually bowled to the plan because Rohit Sharma was asked after the game. And he was like, the whole point was he was bowling a ball wide of off stump for Miller. It was bowling against the wind. So the wind was not going to carry the ball with him, which is why he had bowled that ball. So I think the intention was correct. But where Miller hit it, Miller actually hit it to the offside because the wind was with him. So he actually played it smart in that
Hmm.
moment. But it's just
Hmm.
that he could not connect the ball because it was so wide that
Hmm.
it kind of went near the rope. And you know what happened with Surya. Because I will tell you one thing, one of the biggest appreciations after watching so many games
Hmm.
is I'm never going to curse players for their concentration because I'll tell you how difficult it is
Hmm.
when Rohit and Virat were batting
Hmm.
between every ball. Okay, on
Hmm.
TV, you're not able to hear it, but
Hmm.
dude, there is pandemonium. Like
Hmm.
concentration is so difficult, and
Correct.
the worst thing out of that was the music. Right,
Hmm.
every between every ball, they were playing
Hmm.
some goddamn music, which was like Pallu, Thake, and like it's so irritating. I'm like, how are these players able to concentrate? Because they
Yeah.
literally stop the music when the bowlers take a run up, right?
Wow.
And and you don't hear that music on TV, but
Hmm.
in the stadium, it's so
Hmm.
loud, man. I'm like, I have
Hmm.
no idea how these guys play,
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
so much of noise and that
Hmm.
music that they
Hmm.
have to concentrate or focus on that particular ball, right?
Hmm.
But I think once that Surya catch was done, it
Hmm.
was pretty much, you started to get confidence, ki boss, now India is in the driving seat.
In the driving seat. Yeah, yeah. That sealed it. That catch just sealed everything. And after that, basically, it was a one horse race, and it was India's game to lose. So
Yeah.
let's take a step back now, and we'll go to the final in a second. Describe the tournament for me. Let's talk about the World T20. Is this a good format, you think, to expand the game? USA going to the Super 8, and just give your thoughts on the tournament as a whole. Who were the teams that did the best, and who were the teams that did the worst?
So I'll tell you, one of the things that most of the teams complained about was the pitches in US. None of the teams were happy about that, right? Because they
in
were
in
underprepared.
in New York,
In New York, in New York,
because I want to add, the pitches in Dallas were excellent, but the problem is the ICC, the planning of the ICC and the idiocy of giving matches to New York, because New York is a big city. If you spend the same money expanding the capacity of the Dallas stadium and give the games to
yeah.
Dallas, देखने में मजा आता, because USA Pakistan, look at the game, USA Canada, brilliant wickets.
And we never were able to find out about Florida, but they would have had decent wickets. But because of the rains, no one was able to kind of play. There was just probably one game that happened eventually, right? Pakistan Ireland, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, Pakistan Ireland. That's it. But even that was not a bad watch. But see, with the rain, there was movement in the air and stuff like that. But and it was completely sunshine in Texas at that time. You could have even thought about, like, I mean, it was hurricane season in South Florida. Do the folks at ICC not talk to people about weather? I mean, what the hell?
So one of the things I found out after going there was actually the games were supposed to happen in New Jersey before, right? But there were some folks in the New Jersey area because they knew the population stays over in New Jersey instead of New York or in this Long Island. Because I'll tell you one thing, the commuting was 2.5 hours if you're taking the train, and 1 hour or 1.5 hour if you're going by car. So not much of a difference. And
Hmm,
even though people bought tickets, the lines, everything, it just didn't really add up, right? For
hmm,
folks to have a
hmm,
fantastic experience.
hmm,
Because I was part of the media box, I had a lovely experience because I was not standing in lines. I was going through a different entrance. It was much more, I would say, privileged, if I can say that, right? But for other people, and these are people of the hospitality, because I have a couple of friends that went in the hospitality section,
correct.
and even there in that box, because I went to say hi to them, there are like almost 1,000 people, and people didn't get food, and people. So there was a lot of unhappiness. I mean,
Hmm,
everyone had a ball because India was playing well, so you
hmm,
eventually forget everything because the
hmm,
experience is so good, right? But if you look at the overall experience, they could have done a much much better job,
hmm,
with
hmm,
New York.
hmm. No, so I agree, and I think what they needed to really do is not have matches in New York. I think the obsession was, कि, "Arey, we are going to do any other city. You could have had games and stuff. There are stadiums. I mean, there is a stadium in Houston. There you could have thought about in the Prairie View area, the Dallas Stadium. As you know, you spend like 30 million in essentially building a temporary stadium. You spend 30 million in like upgrading the stadiums that you already have, or look at putting floodlights in Morrisville, North Carolina. You can do that. So, but I really think that this was like, which state lobbies for the game, uh, American lobbies at play and stuff that sort of played. And if you tell me that you cannot sell out India, Pakistan anywhere in the world, like there are, I mean, what the hell are you talking about, right? So, and there are better space, more open spaces in the rest of America than New York, where you can build a ground like around Los Angeles, around Houston. I'm not saying proper LA, but on the outskirts, an hour away, similarly to what you have. So, I don't know. I think it was very poor decision making and stuff on the ICC's
Right.
part.
I think, and you're right. There's some reasons for why it happened in New York and not Houston or Dallas, right? Because the
Hmm,
bodies that are controlling the games, that is
hmm,
ICC, right? That's
hmm,
one reason. But I
hmm,
will commend them on one thing.
hmm.
It's not a joke to build a stadium in 2 months. And the stadium
Absolutely.
looked like a stadium. It
Hmm,
was
hmm,
modular, and it was fantastic. I mean, I got a chance to talk to the guy who kind of was overseeing all of it,
hmm, hmm.
and they did such a fine job. But that's the
No,
thing,
no.
it's one of those things where when you've got so many passionate people, you
Hmm,
can only do so much in the time you have. But I
hmm,
will give them, I will raise my hat to them for even executing it the way it did, because the
hmm,
pitches, I don't think they had an idea of what the dropping pitch would be. Like it would
hmm.
play so bad. Because
Yeah.
I don't think that's their fault, right? The dropping
No,
pitch
that,
is not a concept,
yeah, the
right?
drop in
It's a
pitches are not.
fundamental concept, right? But the way the dropping pitch is played, or
Hmm,
the ground. So I'll tell you
hmm,
one thing.
hmm.
And the outfield as well, if you look at it, players were
Yeah.
not diving, because
Yes.
even though you saw the ground was lush green, it was
Hmm,
very hard.
hmm,
So players didn't want to get injured,
hmm,
right? And when we were talking to them, be it Ireland, be it India, Pakistan, none of them were happy with the outfield conditions as well,
hmm,
because you could not do your slides in those pitches. So even though it looked like absolutely fine,
hmm,
just because it was so freshly done in 2 months'
hmm.
time, they just did not have enough moisture in that soil, right?
Correct.
Which made it very difficult for players to, uh, you know, be very careful when they were playing.
mm. And what happened ultimately was that, first of all, we're lucky that no one got hurt because of the spongy bounce. Rohit got a pretty bad ball against Ireland, if you remember, and then players were taking care of them. So I mean, those were concerns. But the good part has to be USA's emergence in the Super 8. Suddenly the US media wakes up, starts talking about the tournament. That was quite something, right?
I don't think anyone expected it. So I think the thing that came out of those New York games was
Mm,
USA performing so well. Because see, one of the biggest things you have to understand is why people or why players complain about bad pitches, right?
mm,
Because the skill actually goes out of the
mm,
window, right?
mm,
The players of the international teams, be it South Africa, India, Pakistan, they're skillful players, right?
mm,
And I'm not saying USA are not, but
mm.
because of the uneven bounce, you are just not able to read the conditions,
Yeah,
right, that you're playing in, which
correct.
makes it very difficult for a highly skilled player to adjust because he's going to get either a low bounce or a high bounce, which
Mm,
happened with
mm,
Surya Kumar or Shivam Dubey in those
correct.
games.
Mm, mm.
They just were not able to gauge, right?
Yeah, but
And
USA, I want to agree that USA's two of their wins came on in Dallas, and they ran
right,
South Africa very close in a very good wicket as well. Matlab,
yeah.
if that Jesse Singh plays a little better and doesn't swing and miss at 5 balls, I think USA could have upset South Africa too in that game.
100%. I will give that to you because I
Mm,
think the fact that USA stuck it out there in those
mm,
conditions,
mm,
especially in the initial stages,
mm,
speaks a lot about their mental fortitude. And I had a chance to talk to Saurabh
mm.
Netravalkar,
Correct.
and I asked him what was the most difficult part, right, to
Mm,
adjust because you guys are not used to playing in the 30,000 capacity stadiums. He was
mm,
like, yeah, but our experience in the MLC had that was one. And the
mm,
second is at the end, we didn't really focus on playing the big team. We focused
mm,
on doing our job. And
mm.
if they play better than us, then you just accept that they played better than us, right?
Fair.
So I
Yeah.
think with Stuart Law, he
Mm,
was very, very clear in the directions that he was giving the players, right?
correct.
In
Mm,
fact, I asked him during the press conference as well. I was like,
mm,
because these wickets are like 110 wickets, all of the games
mm,
were 110 or 120. I was like,
mhm,
is that a par four on these wickets? And why is it
mm,
so difficult? And
mm,
he also laughed about it, right? Because he's a former Australian cricketer, right?
mm.
Who's played at the highest level. He didn't
Correct.
want to say it where,
Mm.
they were below par wickets,
That's right.
but he
Mm.
kind of just smiled and, he kind of gave an answer which was enough.
Uh, uh. No, absolutely, and he knows ultimately at heart, what is at stake, and there are issues and stuff. But on the long term way, and this, like, for the in the game of cricket, I think this was a very fantastic sort of day, and stuff, and not just US, Nepal running three teams close,
Yeah,
the emergence of uh, I'm starting Netherlands again ran South Africa very
yeah,
close. They played well.
yeah.
I think Namibia would have liked to play it a little bit better. So certainly some very good. Bangladesh surprised everyone. I didn't expect them to go to the Super 8 at all. And Afghanistan, my God, going to the semi-finals. How, I mean, the biggest story, completely took out Australia. Really, I think they had one bad day in the semi-final, but I think they'll learn. And
Convincing,
that
convincing performance.
semi-final pitch was horrible. See, again, another problem was the way the games were scheduled, right?
Yeah,
I understand you had to cater to the Indian TV market and stuff, but a little bit of brainy thinking, and maybe keeping the first day semi-final in the morning and the second semi-final in the evening. And also ICC needs to do something about seeding. You can't just like have that, oh, seeds are pre-decided, because then it completely takes the groups out of the first stage out of sort of picture. So
yeah.
I hope they work on that. And if they truly want to make cricket a global sport beyond like 10, 12 countries, these things need to matter, because every team needs to think that they are being treated equally in the World Cup.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that was one of the big reasons that everyone
Hmm,
was complaining about, right? That
hmm, hmm.
our games are in the evenings. I know Michael one kept saying that oh, India games
Uh,
are in the morning. But I was
hmm,
like, that's actually a disadvantage for India.
Yeah, that
right?
exactly,
So that's
exactly.
a disadvantage. That's not an advantage because they
Oh,
have to play in those conditions. In the evening there is dew, so even if there is a chance that the ball slows down, you have better conditions. Weather is
mm,
nice,
mm,
right? So I think that initial stage, it was challenging to say the
mm. No, and which
to
is why I
say.
rate Rohit's innings against Australia as probably one of the best innings played by an Indian in this World Cup. I think that was the innings of the World Cup.
I think so. I think so. I think Rohit was leading from the front, and he
Mm,
was looking so good against South Africa as well. He just
mhm,
misjudged that. He didn't really, completely clean that. The sweep that he did. He went
mm.
for like a tentative sweep, but
Mhm.
otherwise Rohit was looking so good, and he led from the front. Led from the front.
Exactly.
I will
Exactly.
say one thing. The reason that Virat and Rohit, like, you see the lovely pictures of them together, and they played the last T20 game together.
Mhm,
One of the biggest reasons of Rohit Sharma's captaincy or leadership is he
mhm,
never pressurized Virat on you have to be playing every game. If Virat said no, I want to take a break, no
mm,
questions were asked. Even
mm,
during press conferences, even during afterwards, he's like, yeah, yeah, Virat will come good. Like, he just
mm,
evaded those questions in a way where it didn't really make any noise. He could have very well
mm,
done, yeah, now you have to show up, right, to these games. But
mm,
Virat was like, no, I need that time. Yeah, okay, Rohit and
mm,
Rahul Dravid, both of them.
mm,
So
mm,
they handled Virat so well that
mm,
I think somebody like a Virat Kohli, he was like a global icon, right?
mm,
He also was, you felt that Kohli was also a little bit indebted to
mm.
Rohit, for
Correct.
allowing to be the player he wanted to be, even before the
Mm,
World Cup. If he
mm.
doesn't want to play a series, it's okay. You can come back in the next one. There were
That's
no
right.
questions asked. He
Correct.
probably needed, or again, I don't have any proof on that, but about other
Mm,
players, right? When they were not
mm,
playing because they're young
mm,
guys.
mm.
You know what I'm talking about. The test matches, be it
Truly,
Shreyas or
truly.
Shah.
Mm, mm,
But with Kohli, they handled the situation perfectly. And that's why
mm.
you were able to get him in that last game the way he played.
Correct. No, and I mean, I was saying I was of the firm opinion that Abhishek Sharma should have been taken to the World Cup and Kohli should have played one down. I don't know why. I mean, see, listen, my opinion. I mean, it was a phenomenal, and I'm very happy for Rahul Dravid. But I think there, I don't know, Rishabh Pant at one down just did not work for India. I think, and Shivam Dube came good in two games. I agree, but long term, I think Rinku Singh is our finisher, and that's how he should be developed. After the first game against Zimbabwe, people were jumping up and down. कि, अरे देखो क्या हुआ? But people forget Kohli also had three zeros before he scored the game in the final. So Abhishek Sharma had a zero and then scores a brilliant 100. Rinku comes through as a finisher. So I think this is the future. They need to be given a longer rope. But if Jaiswal and Gill are our openers and Sanju Samson is maybe our number three, it's a phenomenal. And Rinku or maybe Abhishek Sharma and Jaiswal are the openers and Gill is the backup. I don't know how they're going to play it, but we do have our three openers set now.
No, you're right. And I think the only reason they probably didn't pick Abhishek was because opener slot is very important, right?
Hmm,
It's a very
hmm.
high pressure situation because these
Correct.
big players, they play in these high pressure games,
Hmm.
right? Abhishek Sharma is not experienced, right, for him
That's
to
right.
directly get elevated to like the international stage. So
Correct.
now I think I think it was a great team with Rishabh
Hmm,
coming in on number three, because if you
hmm,
look at it, except for the final,
hmm,
Rishabh actually anchored the innings because Virat was getting out early.
hmm,
So Rishabh with that 20, 22, 30, he was
hmm,
anchoring that inning with Rohit until the
hmm.
semi-final stage,
That's right.
right? So I think, in my opinion, yeah, Shivam Dube could be a hit and miss because he didn't even bowl.
Hmm.
But I think that's what it was in Rohit's mind all the while, right? They never changed
No,
the team. Game
and
one to game.
listen, good on Rohit to have his perspective on it. He's the captain. He's like, I'm. This is my team. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to roll with it, or I'm going to die with it. And he was proven. He was vindicated more than all of us, and that's why he was the captain. But this was just perspectives and stuff, and how it rolls and how it doesn't. So, but
Correct.
good on Rohit to stick with his. But I mean, hands down, Jasprit Bumrah, I think, was the player of the tournament for India. he got the player of the tournament. Matlab, to have your economy rate of less than 5, it's great in a one day game. He had it in a bloody T20 tournament. And
Yeah,
where four or where two or three of the games he bowled were actually 190 games. The Australia game, this game, and I think the semi-final as well was like 180 or 190. I forget how much we scored in that semi-final.
yeah, yeah,
170, sorry, against England. So I mean, and these are strong batting lineups, but none of
yeah.
them could hit him. So I actually, and again, this is going to sound very crazy, but if you count multi-format bowler, give it about 2 years, and I'll say this for sure, but I think Jasprit Bumrah is becoming the best fast bowler India has ever produced across. If you
Yeah.
add all three formats together, he is unplayable on his day.
So I was talking to a guy, Siddharth Monga from Cricket Info, and when we were talking, he mentioned there was a fear when Wasim came to bowl, right? Because he could get a wicket. With Bumrah, it's happening the same way. He can actually get a wicket on every ball he's bowling. So besides just being tentative or playing defensively, there's nothing you can do with the Bumrah ball because he hardly bowls a bad ball. Hardly. And if you look at the previous two World Cups, be it 2019, 2023, who was missing from the team? Well, Bumrah was in 2019. Who was missing from the team? It was Bumrah. Remove Bumrah out of the team or bring in Bumrah into the team, it's a different ball game.
It's a different ball game. Absolutely. Also, I think the kind of so 220 to 2021 was like a complete uh, क्या बोलते हैं, toss World Cup. Win the toss, you in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, you
Yeah,
bat the second dew comes in, you win. Right. The
yeah.
Australia World Cup was a proper World Cup, but India also learned. I think India went a safety free approach. They changed. So I think Michael Vaughan said this: Adelaide 2022 for India was the same way as Adelaide 2015 was for England. England lose to
Yeah.
Bangladesh. Morgan changes the culture. 2019, England win the World Cup. India lose to England in the semi final. Rohit Sharma changes and Dravid changed the culture. India win the World Cup.
And I mean, if you think about it, right? Who were the players who could not bat at all? It was just Bumrah,
Hmm,
it was Arshdeep,
hmm.
and it was who else? That's it. Those were
Huh,
the two guys who
yeah,
could not bat at all,
correct.
right? Siraj
Hmm,
played like first, he played Kuldeep, but Kuldeep can bat decently, right?
hmm,
But
hmm,
until then, Ravindra Jadeja was coming after Shivam Dubey, number 8,
hmm, hmm,
right? So
hmm,
9, 10, and 11, Kuldeep also could bat
hmm,
decently. So except for Bumrah and Arshdeep, which are
hmm,
like India had thought it through because that was their, Achilles heel, if you can call it,
hmm,
the deep batting. Because every World Cup we had lost because the top order did not fire, right?
hmm.
And this World Cup they completely changed things around.
And I will tell you this. I'll tell you something. The attitude changed, the approach changed, hence the result changed. And but let's talk about the disappointments of the World Cup, and then we'll wrap up with the final moments. And what about Pakistan and New Zealand and Sri Lanka, the biggest disasters, and Pakistan especially, just they just look like losing every game. They should not have lost any game. They lost every game that they should have lost, should have won.
I think Pakistan is, they are just not up to the mark. They are just, if you look at it, right, if you just man to man bring them, right, close to any of these good teams. And when I say good sides, it's England, Australia, India, even Afghanistan. Look at where Pakistan is. The guys are hit and misses. There is no guy you can bank on in Pakistan. Like I thought, Fakhar Zaman, right? Solid player. He did not fire in the World Cup. Babar. And I think Gary Kirsten absolutely said it rightly, right? That we need to change a few things and players need to understand what is the way of playing T20 cricket. Because when Gary was asked, he was brought in like 12 days ago, the World Cup. The amount of time these coaches keep changing in Pakistan, right? It's laughable. Because how can the team adjust to the new plan? So Gary was like, literally, I'm just gonna, be in the background and I'm gonna watch them and I'm going to make my assessment after the World Cup because he
So
probably guessed it that boss ये team से कुछ होने नहीं वाला.
So Club Prairie Fire had the joke that Pakistan is not crazy enough by changing code. Now they need to start changing captains mid-match. Batting a captain se karwao, bowling to se. I mean, what the hell, yaar? Who does it? And that game against India, I'm very happy that India won, but India had no business winning that game or making it even a game. Pakistan should have completely coasted home. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
total. आप साउथ अफ्रीका के बारे में बात कर रहे हो दैट साउथ अफ्रीका गेम एटलीस्ट वाज अ वर्ल्ड कप फाइनल वाज अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ pressure and come I know India Pakistan has pressure but no this world cup final game had more pressure on India than India Pakistan did and India would have qualified even if they would have lost to Pakistan so
No,
because
I tell you that Rizwan shot, right? If you look at it, it's a cross-batted shot,
hmm,
and I think it's like when you're playing gully cricket, right?
hmm, hmm,
There are always bowlers that you're so scared of that you just like try and just wish that boss here maar sakunga me. I think
hmm,
Rizwan knew he was going to aim at his stump, right?
hmm,
It is going to hit the stump. So let
hmm,
me be positive and just swing my bat because उसने अंधाधुंधी shot मारा, लप्पा,
hmm,
as
hmm.
we call it in India, right? It was a
Yes,
lappa, right?
it
And
was a
lappa
laptop.
with Bumrah at his level, which is
Hmm,
the skill level is just unmatched, right?
hmm,
So he
hmm,
was
hmm,
not going to
hmm,
miss those stumps.
hmm.
So that's what happened. They're
Correct.
just not fit enough. You're just not ready. It was like a
Hmm,
very uncooked side
hmm,
because they've not improved in the
hmm,
last 2 or 3 years. They're playing cricket, which was played in 2019,
hmm. That's
where
right.
you take your time. So,
Hmm,
I mean, uh, once they started playing, like even Shaheen Shah Afridi, right?
hmm, hmm,
Ravi Shastri said in one of the commentary stints that he had,
hmm,
like
hmm,
Shaheen Shah Afridi is a good bowler. He can bowl sometime. The first over when the ball is swinging, he bowls well. He's like a
hmm,
Wasim Akram, right?
hmm,
He needs to consistently be accurate.
hmm.
Consistently. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता एक गेम में है एक गेम में नहीं है भी लगेगा कि नहीं लगेगा. You can't be
Hmm.
like that. Even if
Hey,
you are
you
the best
can't.
bowler.
You can't be. You देखो अगर आप if you are a tukka then you will be exposed as a tukka and that's what happened right like he was you have to be a champion bowler and deliver when the chips are down and boy I mean essentially what Bumrah and Hardik did for India was deliver when the chips were bloody down and it was done
Exactly. Exactly.
so
You
so
should know how to take that pressure, right? With
hmm.
Imad Wasim, I have no idea how he gets picked. The guy is caught in PSL smoking. What level of fitness must this guy
No,
have?
अरे fitness तो मतलब they have the fittest player on the planet in Azam Khan. He was a part of the team. मतलब
So
आप
it like baffles me. It baffles me.
हाँ मतलब there was this Pakistani commentator who was saying Burger King or something हजा ऐसे ऐसे करके कैच पकड़ता है things I'm not making this up we did a live show with Kushal these are live tweets that Pakistani and the problem is that when it's this is typically the inmates running the asylum sort of situation in Pakistan completely that ki, first of all a lot of people don't know that the PCB board is selected and appointed is a political appointee the government change hoti hai to board ka chief change hota hai and then it's just madness but coming from because I know we are running short of time going from Pakistan to New Zealand Wo- New Zealand, this was a heartbreaker because it was a last World Cup for a lot of people. Williamson, Trent Bolt, maybe Southey. I mean, so they are going to have a big generational shift. And except for like a few, like Rachin Ravindra and what's his name, Mitchell Santner and stuff like that, there's going to be a trouble retaining players. So how does New Zealand go from here?
I think with New Zealand, just like India had the 2007 World Cup in West Indies, New Zealand had that kind of a World Cup. The team just never got together. And one of the reason was because they have not played cricket together. But I think these big guys who are experienced, Trent Bolt, they deliver, right? But with them, it was that one-off tournament where they just as a unit did not gel. They like nothing was working for them, right? And that's the beauty about this format. This is the toughest format, in my opinion, because आपका दिन नहीं होगा, you are effed big time. दिन होना चाहिए भाई दिन होना
Totally,
चाहिए आपका
absolutely. Then
right so
timing
that's why
कैसे आता है?
what
Yeah.
they did with unbeaten until the last game
Hmm.
that is phenomenal because it's so
Yeah.
hard
Correct. So
And
no, and New Zealand, it's not like people don't play cricket there. The national, I don't know the last time they did a census, but I know in 2015-16 when New Zealand cricket revealed their annual report, their total registered cricketers were over 170,000, and it was in 2002, 2003 was the first time it passed 100,000. So it was on pace to grow almost double in like 20 years, which is very good signs for a country that small. I mean, the population of New Zealand is about 4 to 5 million people, 5 million people close to. So if you have around, if you just make a projection, probably it's about 200,000 cricketers right now playing. That's a pretty healthy number. And so even if it, and see, IPL and stuff has helped because now they can play their Super Smash, their BBL, and things like that. So that could actually help. So you think New Zealand won't have a crisis though, right?
exactly, I think this is just that one-off tournament where
Mm-hmm.
nothing worked for them, but I think
Mm-hmm.
they'll come strong, right? Because they are too good a team not to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had the opportunity to talk to the bowling coach of New Zealand, and
Mm-hmm.
what he told was, um, the players are, they're warmed up so
Mm-hmm.
well. Like Trent Bolt, you don't have to tell these guys what to do, right? They
Mm-hmm.
just go and deliver, right? So in this case, they just couldn't do any of that. It's like that World Cup for them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's most surprising. But I think if you ask me, were they looking good? I think they were looking good before the
Mm-hmm.
tournament, right?
Right. They
But
were.
it's just
They
one of the things.
No, and that's what makes cricket this format so brilliant that it can actually compete with. I'm not saying it will be like FIFA, but why FIFA has those shock defeats? Like France wins the World Cup one year and gets eliminated in the first round because that's what can happen in T20. And I disagree with the purists who say, "Oh, 50 over bhi aisa hona chahiye." Nahi, yaar. You have to take this to the people. You have to take this to 200 countries, 150 countries, 120 countries. Every bloody country needs to find that, oh, we have a chance. And guess what, in USA there are people who are already talking, oh, what will happen in 2026. Now, whether the World Cup should it be having it every 2 years or not, we'll have to debate to see. ICC needs to stop having so many ICC events, like the Champions Trophy. I know it's happening next year, but it's a waste of time. I think stop it, like have a break, because if you have a break, it just brings up the momentum like crazy. So I
Yeah,
think 2025 World Test Championship, 6 is this, and 27 is the ODI Cricket World Cup. That's a great scale, and that's how you should have it. And so
correct.
the next World Cup happens in 28. After that, 27 is the Test Championship, and then 29 is your off year. Or no, 29 will be again the Test Championship. So that I think that's a great path. Get rid of the Champions Trophy. No one needs it.
I agree. I agree. I think it's quite a unnecessary tournament. The
Uh,
Champions Trophy, you know, it's like a short format, and you don't know why it is. Especially with
uh,
all the T20 World Cup coming into the picture, you don't have time for another new tournament now.
हाँ ये फिर bilaterals go suffer brilliant. See, I would rather watch India Australia 5 test matches, Australia England 5 test matches, India
Yeah,
England 5 test matches. So I'm so glad that India, when they go to Australia this year, at the end of this year, they're playing 5 test matches. So
yeah, but that's the thing, right? When India England play, it's the Indian board and the England board decide. When
correct.
these world events happen, ICC decides, right? So it's like
ICC
everyone
decides.
wants a piece of the pie, essentially,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
either
So
you
we'll
play
have
or
to
you don't.
you
You
play.
forfeit. बोलेगा नहीं
Indeed.
कोई,
हाँ कोई
right?
बोलेगा नहीं, yeah, and it's people, everyone's getting paid, so everyone's, it's kind of a weird nexus, but you don't want to kill the golden goose, so to speak. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
having said that, going to the last part of this, let's go back to the final. Closing moments. How was it like interacting with people? Any insider stories that you want to reveal for our folks, that you can reveal, I must say, because I'm so sure you saw a lot, heard a lot, and talked a lot with all the people around
Yeah.
in the
So
boundary.
I'll reveal what I can reveal, right? Because there's stuff that happened over there, which if I reveal, I will be banned, right? I mean, and nothing inappropriate happened, but it's just that it's like
No, of
if you
course. No,
given that,
everyone needs
right?
their space also, right? It's a safe space for them. Correct.
So what happened was I'll kind of take you through the events that happened, right? Post India winning. So India won the World Cup. The families came there. Players celebrated with the families. Rohit Sharma, uh, the press conference was going to happen. So everyone knew he was going to come in for the press conference, right? When I saw him, the first instant, I was like, that guy looked drained. यानी जब किसी को देखो, right, एक भी ounce of energy नहीं रहती ना जिसमें, that's what Rohit Sharma looked. Like he had no energy to talk. Like it was pressure, mental, physical, sub kuch, right? And the press conference went. One fantastic question a journalist asked, because Rohit was not. Virat had already announced before that that this will be my last game. So
Correct.
somebody asked
Hmm.
him, he,
Hmm.
will Virat announce this will be his last game. What about you? And then Rohit smirked at that, because I think Rohit didn't want to take the limelight away from Virat's decision, but
Hmm.
Rohit smiled at all of us, and then he said that yeah, even this one will be my last game. So it was a shocker to
Hmm.
everyone. That's when he
Hmm.
revealed it. Before that, no one knew, right? But I'll tell you what happened afterwards. Press
Hmm.
conference ho gaya, congratulate, ye. The
Hmm.
media manager, he after the press conference happened, he said, all the journalists from India, please come
Hmm.
into the other room. And the captain would
Hmm.
like to take a picture with you all.
Hmm.
And that's how we got a picture with the trophy and Rohit Sharma
Wow. Lovely.
afterwards.
Lovely.
And that was like no one expected, right?
Yeah.
No
No
one in
question.
their wildest dream, because players are in that zone. And
Hmm.
then there were some guys who were like experienced, and they were like, yeah, we need to bring in other players because so then he said, yeah, I'll try and whatever, right? So we went
Hmm.
outside. Okay.
Hmm.
But it so happened because it was the West Indies, and I don't think this can happen anywhere. So
Hmm.
what happened is, at the press conference, if you see,
Hmm.
actually you can't see any of these, but the big
Hmm.
guys, right, the
Hmm.
big journalists from India, from everywhere, they went to the hotel, because that's how
Hmm.
teams typically do that. They
Hmm.
finish the press conference, they and the families go in the bus back to the hotel, and then they celebrate privately.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
because it was the West Indies में जाके भी क्या करेंगे, right?
Hmm.
कोई मैंने fans है, but not as
Hmm.
much, right? So I
Hmm.
think maybe the team just decided to soak in the moment. Ajit Agarkar was there. All the entire BCCI management was there. They were
Hmm.
celebrating. They were like, but after Rohit Sharma came Hardik Pandya.
Hmm.
And Hardik Pandya talked, and I will tell you, the guy is something else. Like my appreciation for Hardik has become tenfold after what I saw. He was
Hmm.
so patient. There was any of his answers that you see, and people can look that up on our YouTube channel. I've posted that Cricket Huddle. But basically, there was nothing he, I will show it to them. Khud na.
Hmm.
He was so pleasant. He was so gracious in his answers that I was like,
Hmm.
man, this guy went through so much of crap right now, 6 months back, and he's
Hmm.
still smiling. That you are built differently. I
Hmm.
realized that. And for whatever he does, he's a very open and he's like a child. That's what
Yeah.
I realized with Hardik.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
अगर वो आंसर भी करता है ना, it's like कुछ thought नहीं है उस केस में. You know?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I completely changed my opinion about Hardik
Hmm.
because I had met him for
Correct.
the first time.
Hmm. Hmm.
But what happened after that, again, I won't go in details,
Hmm.
but players, Virat, everyone was in that stand. And हम लोग अभी ground पे आ गए थे. We were like
Hmm.
6 or 8 of us because match खत्म हो गई 1 बजे. And this was
Hmm.
around 5 o'clock. So 4 घंटे time pass कर रहे हैं वो वहां पे रोहित शर्मा. They were taking pictures with the trophy, all of that,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then someone called Rahul Dravid. He saw him there. Like
Hmm.
Rahul, come. 2 minutes, 2 minutes, come down. So Rahul said, no, 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 I don't want to come. But then he finally came. That's when Rahul came. And then Yuzi
Hmm.
Chahal was there. And
Hmm.
then, dude, the craziest thing happened, and
Hmm.
I wish I could share with everyone. Like the
Hmm.
moments, they were not the superstars that you saw in Bombay. They were
Correct.
guys like you and me high-fiving each other after a gully game.
Hmm.
I'm not even kidding. Yuzi Chahal, Rishabh, all of the guys, they came
No,
to the stadium.
and sometimes one wonders that because of our population, it's for them also it becomes very hard, right? For
Yeah,
to emote.
because and the reason they came on the ground was Rohit Sharma wanted to go back to the pitch and he wanted to
Hmm.
have a 20-minute conversation. When they
Hmm.
came down, They were high-fiving us. They were like, we were like happy about it, right? We were
Yeah, yeah.
congratulating them. They were hugging us, right?
For that
I'm like,
one moment, no one was a media, no one was a cricketer. We were all
no one was
Indians.
media. No one was media, and they knew ki, koi people are not going to take unfair advantage of this moment,
No, no, yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was very pure. It was very pure, right?
I
So
remember. So I after the World Cup, my wife was joking with me. He's like, "Arey, what are you jumping up and down? We won. It's nice and stuff, but the emotions." And then a couple of hours later, we actually are at a indoor golfing place here in Houston, and then we run into another friend. He comes, gives me a hug, and he's like, "Man, congratulations on the World Cup." And she's like, "Oh my God, yes, I now see what it means for you all." And so it's like even you were not there. It's that unspoken shared moment you felt, and because
yeah,
of so many heartbreaks you saw for the
yeah,
last because 2013 champions trophy, yes, you won ICC tournament, but like I said, I don't consider champions trophy as a thing. World Cup is the thing, and you haven't won a World Cup since 2011, this or
yeah.
ODI, and 13 years later you had that moment.
And I'll tell you, like Virat, right? These guys,
Hmm.
Sachin, Virat, like the superstars, right? They have
Hmm.
bodyguards. They are like extremely focused. Like Virat doesn't talk to anyone. Like we realized, like I realized how much it meant to them because they were
Hmm.
not themselves that time. They were the children, they were the young guys that
Hmm.
they started playing. And you could see that in Rohit, in Virat, in entire team because it had not happened for so long that it meant
Hmm.
so much to them that we also didn't realize that jeet to gaye initially, but the kind of affection that they were showing towards each other, they just didn't want to leave the ground. So 6
Hmm.
बजे निकले पता है 6:30 बजे निकले and we
Hmm.
were like I would say like God whatever showered his blessings वो दिन के लिए हम वो 6-8 जन जो थे what
Hmm.
we experience अभी वो मेरे साथ जाएगा अभी whenever I ये this is going to be one marker right
Hmm.
just to be in that presence in that happiness उसके
Hmm.
बाद हम लोग ने जो किया वो मैं अभी मेरे को पूछ मत because वो नहीं बता
Hmm.
सकता मैं
वो बिल्कुल
आप
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. No, it's a great point for us to stop this podcast and this podcast. But thank you for sharing whatever you have on this because it's been fantastic. And we are waiting to find more. Maybe we'll do more. Maybe we'll do more podcasts on this. Maybe we'll do more discussions. But
yeah
Rugved, for your time and this fascinating
no
insight,
let me add one more thing
please.
before you go
Ah, no,
I
no, you
want
have
to
to. You have to. Please tell me. Tell me.
I want to mention this one point.
Hmm.
So the burial came in, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
team's departure was cancelled the next day. Team was supposed to
Hmm.
leave next day, but वो पता नहीं था because hurricane आने वाला था level
Hmm.
4.
Hmm. Hmm.
हम लोग we actually went to their hotel the next day,
Correct.
and
Hmm.
there we saw the team, but they were with family, so we well, like no pictures, nothing, right? So we kept
Hmm.
it very simple. But we met Jay Shah there.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I'll tell you one thing about him.
Hmm.
Again, that's why I wanted to mention that. I was so impressed by the genuine level of affection he had. He
Hmm.
asked all of us, आप कैसे हो खाना है क्या आपके पास पानी है क्या because everything was closed that day right
Hmm.
how you going to get back he said we are doing a charter and we will make sure कि आप लोग सब जाओगे अभी
Hmm.
unfortunately मैं यूएस आ रहा था right
Hmm.
but मुझे भी opportunity थी to go in that charter with the team
Wow.
but
Wow.
I had to tell him. But I'll tell you one thing. When I told him कि नहीं sir, I'm going to go to the US, he
Hmm.
said, "Are you sure? आपके कौन से flights हैं?" Like the concern he had,
Hmm.
again, he talks very less, but there
Hmm.
is a genuineness that I felt right in that
Hmm.
moment. And he talked
Hmm.
for an hour,
Hmm.
almost an hour, right, with
Hmm.
all of us. Right? He talked about the team. He talked about the dynamic. How they came to that, but that's why I wanted to mention that the BCCI body and Rahul Dravid rightly talked about it. That I also want to congratulate the BCCI guys because we all come through a system.
Hmm.
There's a system in place in India. कि beat NCA वहां से players तैयार होते हैं अभी ऋषभ पंत
Hmm.
think about it he was not fit पाकिस्तान जैसे करते हैं you go and figure out hospital में जाके खुद
Hmm.
के पैसे से जाके आओ इंग्लैंड ऋषभ पंत would not have been here playing the World Cup
Yeah.
but it's
True.
because of BCCI that Indian cricket is where it is.
Hmm.
Players खेलते
Hmm.
हैं, but to make that environment conducive for players to just think about cricket, they play a big role, big role. That's why,
True.
that's all I wanted to mention at the end.
No, no,
That is,
truly. And when we critique the BCCI, it's also fair that we praise them when they have to. But these have been great stories, yeah, man. And thank you so much for sharing and giving us the time. Please follow Rugved on Twitter. Please follow Cricket Huddle. They do fabulous shows, interviews, and everything. And do subscribe to them. We'll be tagging all of their accounts when this will be up in a day or two. But please like, share, subscribe, follow on all the social media, and write to us if you have any questions. Maybe we'll do another one soon. But till then, it's goodbye from Rugved and I, and let's go Team India. Let's hope they keep doing well. And even though Champions Trophy is useless, I still want India to win everything. So I will be wanting India to win that too. Thank you so much for joining. This is great fun.
no, thank you, Adit, for inviting me, and thank you for asking really pertinent questions, because
Awesome.
I always love having a conversation with you. So it's
Awesome.
anytime.
Thanks so much, guys. All right, guys, we'll
Yeah.
be back next week with more. Till then, it's goodbye, and keep writing to us and keep reading. All right, thank you.